Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Ultimate Scouting Show. Thank you guys so much for joining me. We have our Week 6 NFL Power Rankings following Week 5 of NFL action. It was a crazy week. I did absolutely terrible on my game picks, but this is what the NFL is all about. I love the parity in it, and I'm really excited to talk about some of these games. So let's hop right into it. Coming in at number 32, we have the Carolina Panthers dropping down to this spot. They finally fire Matt Rule. Thank goodness. I've been just asking for this for weeks and weeks, and they do finally move past him. I think that that's going to help this team. They fire Phil Snow as well, which I kind of found a bit odd. They just look completely out of sorts in this game versus the 49ers. Baker Mayfield is not it. I was kind of excited to see what he could do in a different situation in a team that really believed in him. But man, this is not good quarterback play. It was not good coaching. It was time for a change. This Panthers team is probably headed for a really, really rough second part of this season here, and I don't see them being better than one of the worst teams in the NFL. So we are going to put them in that number 32 spot for now, see if they can kind of get out of it. At number 31, we have the Houston Texans moving up one spot. Congratulations to them getting their first win of the season. A really impressive win over a good team in the Jacksonville Jaguars. So that was really exciting to see. Dameon Pierce really got going on the ground. He had one run that was an absolute beast mode run. If you haven't seen my Week 5 highlight video, it's in that. Go ahead and check that out. I'll leave the link in the description. But they got the run game going. Davis Mills didn't look awful. The defense played really well. Derek Stingley got his first interception of his career, which was awesome. And good for the Texans. They get their first win. They move up one spot here. Not overly impressed. They only put up 13 offensive points, but definitely a move in the right direction for them. At number 30, I have the Washington Commanders moving up one spot here. This is more a product of the Panthers falling below them than them really deserving to move up. But they do move up one spot here. Really, they probably should have won this game. They come in and they drive right down the field. Carson Wentz throws an interception on the goal line, which doesn't surprise anyone, but still disappointing to see for Commanders fans. You've got a nice chance against the Bears on Thursday Night Football this week to maybe get going a little bit, but Ron Rivera, that seat is scorching hot at this point. I wouldn't be surprised at all to see him fired mid-season, but the Commanders not looking good, dropped to 1-4 for now. At number 29, I have one of my favorite teams, the Detroit Lions. They just haven't put the pieces together yet. You can't get a good offensive and defensive performance in the same game from them. I don't know what was up with their kicker, but they went for it on multiple fourth downs when they could have scored points. They end up scoring 0, and it was just not a good game. The offense just couldn't get things rolling at all, and I know that they were a little bit banged up still, but it was not good offensively. Jared Goff looked very much like the Jared Goff that I think pretty much everyone expected to see. The offense, which was the highest scoring in the NFL, put up 0, and this defense cannot stop anyone. I mean, they were playing Bailey Zappi in his first NFL start. Bailey Zappi I have no problem with, but you should be able to maybe get things right in a game like that, and they just couldn't get anything really defensively. Their pass rush is atrocious. So, not a good look. They're a fun team. They're going to be in most games that they play, but right now I have to drop them 4 spots here to number 29. At number 28, I have the Pittsburgh Steelers. A big drop here, dropping 7 spots. They got steamrolled by the Bills in Kenny Pickett's first start as a Pittsburgh Steeler in the NFL. This was a rough game for the Steelers, and the defense just got lit up. There was the Gabe Davis 2 long touchdowns. Josh Allen was pretty much doing whatever the heck he wanted on this team. It just really wasn't a good performance at all from really any part of this team. They can't get the run game going. The offensive line is not blocking well. Pickett had some stupid throws in this game. He had 1 interception, another that really should have been picked off as well. I just don't think that this team has much explosiveness at all offensively. And without Watt, just this defense doesn't look good. It doesn't. And that's really disappointing because this was a unit that was supposed to be one of the best in the NFL. They just haven't made that happen at all. They've been really bad against the run. Their corners have some nice highlight plays, but man, they're just not consistent at all. I have to drop them down to this spot right now. Number 28 for the Pittsburgh Steelers. At number 27, I have the Atlanta Falcons. They were in this game at the very end. There was that awful roughing the passer call that everybody's talking about on Grady Jarrett. That was absolutely terrible. They couldn't get the offense really going at all until the very end of the game. But credit to Arthur Smith. You have no Cordarrelle Patterson, no Kyle Pitts. Marcus Mariota is an absolute liability at quarterback, and they still were able to keep this game close. And the Buccaneers jumped out to a big lead, and they kind of scratched back and got back into the game. I think Arthur Smith is so underrated as a coach. I really, really like what he's doing with this team, and they've just got to get healthy, and they've got to get more talented. At some point soon, you've got to see what you've got in Desmond Ridder. I say that every week pretty much, but Mariota didn't look good in this game. I thought he missed open throws. He wasn't making good decisions, and they're just not an explosive offense with him at the helm. I think you can still run the ball really effectively with Desmond Ridder. He has some nice wheels on him, so I think you deserve to know what you've got in him, because if you're picking high and Bryce Young or CJ Stroud's on the board, you're going to want to know if Desmond Ridder could be a franchise quarterback for you. At number 26, we have the Chicago Bears. The offense looked a lot better in the second half of this game. They looked atrocious in the first half. The Bears could not guard Justin Jefferson to save their lives. Dalvin Cook had a huge day as well. The Bears actually stormed back and ended up taking the lead in this game, but the Vikings led a long drive down the field and then scored, and then Cameron Dantzler ripped the ball right from the Bears wide receiver. So it ended in kind of a disappointing fashion, but I do think it was a clear step forward for this offense, which has been just dreadful so far. So that's at least something to look forward to and is a positive for this team. The defense has their issues, no doubt about it, but we kind of take what we can get. This, like I mentioned with the Commanders, this Thursday night, they play each other. It's a big moment for both teams to maybe kind of get your season back on track. So one to watch there. Next up, we have the Seattle Seahawks. It's crazy, but I think Geno Smith is definitely playing as one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL right now. It's absolutely nuts, but he's been legitimately good. He had some really nice passes. DK Metcalf had a long touchdown. Tyler Lockett had 2 long touchdowns. Unfortunately, Rashad Penny did get carted off. He's going to miss the rest of the season, but this team is fun to watch. The defense still kind of sucks, but a fun game here, and we're going to move them up. Even though they lost, I thought they fought hard. It was a fun game for them, so good job from the Seahawks. At number 24, I have the New England Patriots. They win in resounding fashion, 29-0 versus the Detroit Lions. I just don't know that that's very sustainable. The Lions are just so inconsistent, and their defense is atrocious. Offensively, it was a mess for the Lions, and I thought that the Patriots played well, but I'm not expecting Bailey Zappi and this Patriots team to really continue to look super awesome. I had my concerns when Mac Jones was the quarterback. Not sure when he'll be back, but this is just not a team that really scares me at all. At number 23, we have the Las Vegas Raiders. Just a brutal loss on Monday Night Football to the Kansas City Chiefs. You jump out to a 17-0 lead. You score a touchdown with Devontae Adams. You go for 2, don't quite get it. I thought he had it, but he didn't get in. You get the stop on the Chiefs that nobody expected you to get. And then Devontae Adams makes a catch in field goal range, but then he's ruled out of bounds. And 4th and 1, your receivers run into each other. Just brutal. I think that this team is a good team. I've been saying that all along. And man, it's just brutal for these Raiders fans, I'm sure, right now. This is a team that still has the talent to turn it around. I get it. You've dug yourself into a big enough hole now that the playoffs and everything look not great, but this is too talented a team. If the Raiders were playing any team below them on this list, I'm pretty confident I'd pick them to win this game. So there is some element of that they could maybe get the season back on track. They're more talented than most of these other bottom tier teams. So I'm just kind of keeping out hope for them. They do drop 1 spot here though. At number 22, we have the New York Jets. This team is on a roll right now. They get win number 3, and the defense and some of their pieces are starting to come alive a little bit. I get it. Tua is out. Teddy Bridgewater went out on the very first play of the Dolphins offensive series, but you're able to make it work. They ended up scoring 40 points. They were up like 19-17 with 12 minutes left or something and ended up putting 40 on them. But they just got the run game going. They got the defense working, and Zach Wilson, I don't think even had a passing touchdown. It was Michael Carter twice, Breece Hall, Braxton Berrios. All of these guys are just doing their jobs. And then the defense, Sauce Gardner had his first pick. That was an awesome play there. He is absolutely legit. And you're getting some good impact from some of these young guys. And good for the Jets. They have a winning record. And I will say I've been critical of Robert Saleh in the past, but I do think that he's done a good job so far this season. They're going to jump up 6 spots here. A big jump for them this week. At number 21, we have the New Orleans Saints picking up that second win of the season to move to 2-3. They move up 2 spots here. And, it's a big win. Definitely a competitive game with the Seahawks here. Geno Smith has looked legitimately really good for the Seahawks, and he continued to do that again versus the Saints defense. But ultimately, Taysom Hill was the ultimate equalizer in this game. He ended up with 4 touchdowns, 3 rushing touchdowns, 1 passing touchdown. That formation and that personnel grouping has just worked for the Saints. Unfortunately, Chris Olave does go down with what looked to be a pretty serious injury. Hope he's doing all right. I love Chris Olave. We'll kind of have to monitor who's going to be the quarterback for this team moving forward. I don't know when Jameis is supposed to be back. Andy Dalton has played well enough in his absence, but, we'll have to kind of see that moving forward. But a good team win, and I think it was a really key win for them to get their season back on track and, keep things close. Because when you drop to 1-4, things can really go off the rails quickly. At 2-3, you're just 1 game away from 500. At number 20, we have the Denver Broncos. This team sucks offensively. It's awful. Russell Wilson just cannot get anything going. This Thursday night game was miserable to watch. No touchdowns. And I've been complaining about the Broncos for a couple of weeks now. They're really painful to watch. I don't think they're good offensively really at all. Russell Wilson has been terrible this year. And you lose Javonte Williams. It was not good. It was not good at all. Wilson's just throwing it straight to the defense. You can't get the run game going at all. They just look so out of sync. And at some point, it does come down to coaching. I know Nathaniel Hack is in his first year, only 5 games in, but he's looked really poor. Whether it's game decisions, as far as whether to go for it on 4th down or whether to take a field goal here or go for it here, whatever, he's been really bad at that. He's been really bad at scheming up offenses. He's an offensive mind. He was the, brain trust of the Aaron Rodgers success in Green Bay, and it's just been terrible. I don't think they're using Wilson effectively, but I don't think he's playing well either. His receivers are getting open sometimes, and Wilson's just not hitting them. So disappointing for the Broncos. I've been a little bit lower on them. Now, I'm really going to drop them. I did not find this to be a good game for the Broncos at all. At number 19, we have the team that beat them in overtime, the Indianapolis Colts. Matt Ryan just looks absolutely terrible. He is somehow a downgrade over Carson Wentz, who they had last year, and he's just been a mess. He doesn't look like he can move in the pocket. He's not making good decisions, and his arm just doesn't look the same. The receivers were okay. Alec Pierce had a really nice game. This offense sucks. This defense had some nice plays, but I just don't have very much confidence in this team. It was a big win. You move to 500, 2-1. You move up 1 spot here, but I wasn't impressed by this team at all. At number 18, we have the Cleveland Browns. The Browns dropped 2-3 versus the Chargers here. They had multiple chances to win this game. Brissett ended up throwing a crucial interception. Obviously, Cade York missed the field goal at the end, which could have won it for them. It was just a messy game from the Browns. They got going on the ground with Nick Chubb, and they had some nice plays. It still kind of got the remnants of an efficient, good offense, but the defense has too much talent to play as poorly as they have so far. I haven't been overly impressed with the Browns the past couple of weeks. They started out really well. The last 2 weeks, they just haven't looked good. So we'll be interested to see where they continue to go from here. But right now, we're going to keep them at that number 18 spot. I wasn't overly impressed, but you did enough to kind of probably stay in that spot. And, the Broncos drop below you. So there's that as well. At number 17, we have the Arizona Cardinals. This team just looks pretty much the same every single time I watch them. They play the Eagles this week. They at least made this game competitive, which is good. They were able to stay in it with one of the best teams in the NFL, which is certainly a good sign. ultimately, I just don't think that they had the coaching to overcome some of the difficulties that they faced in this game. It really wasn't a great day for Jalen Hurts. This defense actually played relatively well, which I have my concerns about this defense, but it was a good game for the most part from them. But this offense is just so streaky. You're definitely going to be excited to get DeAndre Hopkins back here in the next couple of weeks, but I just don't have a lot to say about the Cardinals. It's kind of the same thing every week. I think the coaching holds them back. I think that Kyler Murray can bail them out sometimes, and the defense and offensive line are not very good. They've got fun skill players. Benjamin had a really good game. Marquise Brown had a really good game. These are all good things, but I don't know. They're just kind of a very middling team for me, and so they're going to sit at that number 17 spot as they drop to 2-3. At number 16, we have the Jacksonville Jaguars. This team was kind of crowned as the new, exciting, amazing team, and they've now dropped 2 in a row that were both relatively winnable, at least. And Lawrence didn't look good. He didn't look good in this game. He had 2 interceptions. One was just terrible throw in the end zone. They've had some good plays this season, but offensively, they just looked really bad. And I think the defense is still playing pretty well, which is exciting to see. But there's just been too many little mistakes here and there the past couple of games, and I am going to drop them 2 spots here. Not a whole lot to say, but they've just got to take better care of the ball is the main thing that I'm seeing with them. The turnovers have kind of killed them the last couple of games. At number 15, I have the New York Giants, and credit to this team. Absolutely nobody, including myself, saw this coming, and they've been awesome. They really have. They're 4-1. You go into London and you beat the Packers. Daniel Jones on a bum ankle played well enough. Saquon Barkley's been absolutely awesome this year. He's been so fun to watch. And this team just fights so hard for Brian Daboll. I think he is a Coach of the Year candidate based on how this season finishes. And, I was so excited about this hire, and he's been even better than I expected. This team seriously lacks talent. It's not a good team. It's not a good roster, and that's why I still have them at number 15 as they're 4-1. But Daboll and this coaching staff have done such a good job with this team. I don't expect them to finish this season as, one of the true contenders in the NFC. But I've got to give credit where credit is due. They're 4-1. This coaching staff has done awesome. And they're getting the most out of the players on their roster right now. And that's more that can be said than most teams in the NFL. So credit to this team. Absolutely so fun to watch right now. And they're going to move up 4 spots to number 15. At number 14, I have the Tennessee Titans moving up 1 spot. It was a pretty unconvincing win for me against the Commanders. Derrick Henry does look like himself again, which is really exciting for this team. It's definitely something they can rely on. I just think this passing game sucks. It really does. Tannehill's not good, and his receivers have not been good at all. No Treylon Burks really showed in this game, I think. The defense had some nice plays. They got absolutely torched over the top a couple of times by De'Ami Brown, but for the most part, they kind of kept things in check. Danico Autry had a really good game, I noticed going back and watching this. So there were some good things to go around for the Titans, and most notably, you're at the top of the AFC South right now. Everybody counted you out. You were 0-2, including myself, and they come back, win 3 straight games, and you're absolutely back into the thick of everything. So good for them. Number 13, I have the defending Super Bowl champs, the LA Rams, and this team offensively is kind of broken, it looks. Their offensive line is terrible, and I know they were going against a really good Dallas defense, but this offensive line is an absolute mess. Matthew Stafford is not done well under pressure this season. He just kind of flings it to Cooper Kupp wherever he is, and sometimes that can lead to some bad mistakes. This defense looks okay, but, they kind of got ran over a little bit. Tony Pollard had a really good game. There was some nice plays by Cooper Rush, and, much like we've talked about before, the Cowboys offense just did enough, and this defense was suffocating, and that trend very much continued again today. This Cowboys defense, we'll talk about them more in a second. They're so good, but this Rams offensive line could not hang, and they couldn't run the ball at all. They had like 36 rushing yards or something. That makes your offense so predictable, so one-dimensional, and Sean McVay's got to figure things out, because right now this Rams team does not look like they may even make the playoffs, and that's really bad for a defending Super Bowl champ. They got to be better. At number 12, I have the Miami Dolphins at 3-2. Obviously, third string quarterback has to come into the game. He didn't look good, and this offense just struggled mightily without him. Tyreek Hill also ended up in a walking boot, not 100% sure what that will mean moving forward, but definitely something to note there. If he's out and, you can't get Tua or Teddy to go in these next couple of weeks, they could really struggle. The offense just didn't look the same. Not a good game. I understand why, a lot of adversity in this game, but not a good performance for this team. They are going to have to drop a couple of spots here to number 12. And number 11, very similar issues to the LA Rams. We've got the Cincinnati Bengals. Both of these teams in the Super Bowl last year, both sit at 2-3. Both have had some really bad offensive issues. The Bengals defense played relatively well. I think Lamar Jackson was uncharacteristically missing throws in this game that he doesn't usually miss, and the Bengals kind of benefited from that. This play calling for the Bengals is so frustrating. And as a Bengals fan, I know I'm a bit more passionate about this than others, but Zach Taylor and this coaching staff, they're just so predictable and they overthink everything at the same time. It's so weird how it can be so basic and so vanilla and so predictable, and it can also overcomplicate everything. You look at that goal line, 4 plays there, they run a terrible Philly special, they run a shovel pass on 4th down by 3, you go for it. I'm good with that, but that's a terrible play call. You end up getting another chance, you go down, you score, and then the Ravens come, Justin Tucker wins this. It was just not a good offensive performance. And I know T. Higgins wasn't out there, and they've had some injuries, but you simply got to be better. With Jamar Chase, Tyler Boyd, Joe Mixon, Joe Burrow, you've got to score more points than they did. It's just as simple as that. They haven't gotten it going offensively, and this defense has been good enough. You really probably should be 4-1 with how this defense is playing and the talent on your offense. And Zach Taylor in the play calling, the schemes, the execution, for whatever reason, it's holding this team back, and they've got to get it fixed quickly. You've just got to be better moving forward, and I think that they have the talent. That's why I'm still higher on them, but you've got to continue to improve that offense drastically, and we'll see if they can do that moving forward. At number 10, we have the LA Chargers. This team, Brandon Staley is just asking to be fired because of some of his stupid 4th down decisions. I do not understand why on earth you go for it in that situation at the end of the game. It almost cost his team. And, I know you've got Justin Herbert. He's playing well with no Keenan Allen. That's awesome. But I don't understand that decision. I think that this Chargers team is playing well through the absences of some of their really key pieces, which is definitely admirable, and you moved to 3-2, which is great. I just don't think that they've looked super convincing so far in any way. Lombardi has had some good plays offensively schemed up, but it's really much like the Bengals, this coaching staff, that I'm a little hesitant about. I love the talent on the team. I think that they're, certainly good enough from that perspective to make the playoffs and make a deep run, but I'm just a little bit hesitant about the coaching and kind of how these players are being used right now. At number 9, we have the Green Bay Packers. This team did not come prepared against the New York Giants. This defense is so basic, it's so boring, and they're so talented. They're just not getting enough out of their players. Aaron Rodgers in this offense has just not been good. It's not explosive. I know that you've got the 2 good running backs. I know that you use a lot of RPOs and it's all great and fun. They're not playing as well as they should be right now, offensively, defensively. LaFleur does not look like a good coach this season right now. And I am a little bit concerned about the direction of this Packers team right now. They need to be better. At number 8, this is much like the Giants. You've simply got to give credit where it is due. I have the Dallas Cowboys. They moved to 4-1, and this defense is what is absolutely leading them. And Micah Parsons is an absolute menace. Everybody on that defense is playing as one cohesive unit. Dan Quinn will probably be a head coach after this year. He deserves to be, after how good he has made this defense once again. And Cooper Rush is 5-0 as a starter. He's been awesome. Dak Prescott will be coming back here pretty soon, I think. He may be even back this upcoming week. They have held the fort down. And now you get your star quarterback back. You're getting some of your offensive pieces back. Reinforcements are coming. You've kind of given yourself a really nice window where you're in a great place right now as a team, and I'm excited to see where they can go. This NFC East is awesome, besides the Commanders. We're just going to ignore that they exist. But the top three teams in this division are really, really fun to watch right now. So good for the Cowboys moving up here 5 spots. That's awesome. Number 7, we have the Minnesota Vikings moving up 4 spots here. They've been pretty good. They didn't play very well in the second half of this game versus the Bears, but, they're just getting Justin Jefferson going. Once again, you're getting Dalvin Cook going. Kirk Cousins had like a couple of bad plays, but he's just typical Kirk Cousins, and Kevin O'Connell is getting the most out of that. I think their defense is playing relatively well. They're being opportunistic. I just think that this team has a lot of talent, and right now their offense has been really good. Now, I will say, you barely beat the Lions. You let the Bears come all the way back and tie the game. They actually took the lead against you. This is a team that needs to continue to grow and figure things out. But for right now, they're 4-1. You've got to give them credit, and they've been really fun to watch so far this season. At number 6, we have the San Francisco 49ers. Finally, my pick for the 49ers being good is looking good. I have been really high on this team, and a lot of that had to do with the upside of Trey Lance. Jimmy G looked really bad in his first game, but they've kind of figured things out. They've gotten into the flow of the offense with Jimmy G now, and you destroy a really, really terrible Panthers team. But this defense looks awesome still. Unfortunately, they go down with some significant injuries in this game, and that's really concerning. Emmanuel Mosley, who's been an awesome corner for them, tore his ACL. He's out for the year. Nick Bosa, who is playing as the Defensive Player of the Year, he also has a groin injury. Not sure how long he'll be out, but he sustained some significant injuries. Trent Williams, obviously, is still out as well. Trey Lance, as I mentioned before, he's hurt. So hopefully they're not going to get decimated by injuries. You do sit at 3-2 atop the NFC West, though, right now. So definitely a good sign for the 49ers and a lot of fun to watch this team right now. At number 5, we have the Baltimore Ravens. I wasn't really super impressed with the Ravens offense in this game. Lamar, like I mentioned, was missing some really key throws. They weren't running the ball amazingly either. I think that they had some really good plays, obviously. But, Lamar looked uncharacteristically kind of poor in the passing game in this one. I think that kind of held them back from, absolutely destroying the Bengals. From the way the game was flowing, they really probably should have won this one by a lot more. But eventually, you do get the win. I think that there were some nice things to take away. It's a tough divisional game. So you moved to 3-2 atop the AFC North. Good win for the Ravens in this one, but I wasn't super convinced by how they looked offensively. At number 4, we have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They get a win versus the Falcons here. We've got that roughing the passer call. Obviously, that was a big part of this game, but they definitely dominated the first 3 quarters of this game, really. And you kind of let the Falcons back into it late, but, Chris Godwin's back, Mike Evans is back, you're getting healthier. I think that this offense is continuing to figure things out, and the defense is still awesome. So we are going to move them up to that number 4 spot, and a good week for the Buccaneers, picking up the key win there, and you now sit atop the NFC South. And so that's definitely a good thing for this team now. At number 3, we have the Kansas City Chiefs, moving to 4-1. Obviously, crazy comeback win versus the Raiders on Monday Night Football. Patrick Mahomes played really well. Travis Kelce was an absolute monster. I don't think that they had their best game, especially defensively, but you pick up a win against a team that I think is much better than their record indicates. And, ultimately you have the fight to come back, you win. I think that this team is definitely one of the best teams in the NFL, and these top 3 teams are in a completely different tier for me. We'll go ahead and reveal number 2 here. We've got the Philadelphia Eagles still. They are 5-0. I understand they're the only undefeated team in the NFL, but I just think that there's one team that's a little bit better than them. The Eagles, they haven't looked amazing on offense the past couple of weeks, but that defense has come up to play. You're getting rushing touchdowns, and, things are working, and the offense has been good enough the past couple of weeks. The defense has been good. You're showing that you can win in a variety of ways, which I think is really important moving forward. This was one of my absolute favorite teams coming into the season, and they're certainly proven me right in that regard. They've been awesome so far to watch, so definitely a fun team there. And number 1, we've got the Buffalo Bills remaining in this spot. These top 3 remain the same once again, but definitely not going to move the Bills out of that number one spot after what they did to Pittsburgh this week. Gabe Davis just had a field day. Josh Allen had a field day. And, they didn't even have to play in the fourth quarter because they were that good. And so the Bills just look like they are awesome right now. I know they have the one loss, but they've been just so much fun to kind of see how their offense gets rolling. The defense has had some injuries, but they've looked good the past couple of weeks as well. So definitely a great team there. And that'll do it for our Week 6 Power Rankings. Thank you guys so much for watching. This was an absolute crazy week of football. I'm really looking forward to the next week as well. Hopefully some of these teams that are kind of on the cusp are able to figure some things out. But thank you guys so much for watching. If you reach this point in the video, please subscribe. That helps me out so much. Like this video. Leave a comment onto what teams I should have higher, what teams should be lower. That would just be so awesome. Thank you guys for watching. Have a great rest of your day. Thanks so much. Bye.